Hello, my wonderful, intelligent, ingenious scholars. This round's going a little bit off the rails this semester and trying to figure out a way to get some more time for interesting activities in history. So instead of giving homework or doing readings or doing a lecture in class, you're going to watch short 10 to 15 minute videos as homework and take notes on the portions that I ask you to take notes on. This will allow us to have more time for the plays we've done in class, discussions, debates, things that are a lot more interesting for a history class. For this video, you're going to go to page 7 in your new journals, and you're going to title it Westward Expansion Notes. Page 7, Westward Expansion Notes. As I'm talking, you're going to take notes along with what I've got on the screen and what I'm saying. Every now and then, a vocabulary word is going to pop up. You're going to notice a vocabulary word that's underlined. And because I'm talking about it a bunch, you're going to need to have that vocabulary word written down. Additionally, you're going to need to answer the discussion questions at the end of the video. So, the three things that you're going to need at the end of this video is the vocabulary words written and their definitions, one non-vocabulary word-based note, and the questions and answers to the discussion questions. On the days when it's your homework to watch these videos and come in, I'm going to walk around and check afterwards, checking during the bell ringer to see if you finish all the work. Today, I'm going to walk around and check your notes after we finish the video. But here we go. For nearly 6 months, we have been taking a lovely journey from prehistoric Texas, learning about all the different regions, to the time of European settlers, European explorers like Cabeza de Vaca. We learned about Texas when it was part of Mexico. And then we learned a bunch about the Texas Revolution. We took a little sidetrack on to government, but now we're back on the history path. So that was a lot of history. But while we were covering just Texas, the whole rest of the world was also still doing stuff. This semester, we're going to have to look at what was happening in the United States. So what we're going to have to do quickly is a crash course on what the U.S. has been up to. To start, in 1776, they declared independence, and after a brief war, it was an 8-year-long war, they won their independence from Great Britain. Now, lots of politics happened. Lots and lots and lots, some invasions, all sorts of different things happened. But we don't have time to cover all those. What we need to know for our lessons, for our class, is all based on the fact that the U.S. was constantly moving west. Now you can see in this image that these were the original 13 colonies, this dark green area over here. Right when it won its independence, when it won the war in 1783, it more than doubled in size. It got much, much bigger. And people started going over the Appalachian Mountains right here and expanding west. People were expanding west across. Now, only 20 years after that, we buy from France the best deal ever, Louisiana. All of this brown area around here, Louisiana. So as you can see, in 30 pretty short years, the United States goes from a small coastal country to stretching all the way just about to the Pacific Ocean on the west coast. Now, this wasn't by accident. At this time in history, there was a belief in the United States that our country had a God-given right to take all of this land, to be in charge of all of this continent, and there was even a name for it. It was called Manifest Destiny. Now if you see right there, I got an underlined and bolded word and a definition below it. Probably a good time to pause the video, write down the definition. So like the quote says, this is the idea that it was inevitable, it was certain to happen, it was unavoidable, that it was the destiny of the United States to expand all the way across the continent to the Pacific and beyond. Now there are pros and cons for Manifest Destiny. For good things, as a pro, if the U.S. occupies more land, then they have more power. Cities like Chicago, Dallas, Denver, Phoenix would have never been founded. They would have stayed as pretty wild lands, and history would be very, very different. But on the other side, lots of Native Americans were living on the land that Americans were expanding into, and they were forced off their land. A lot of them were killed. Wars were starting to gain a lot of this land. Slavery expanded. It followed. Whenever we expanded out to the west, slavery would come along, especially in the southern places we expanded out to, like Texas, and it would expand. So history would have been very different on those negative things as well. Who knows what would have happened? But at the end of the day, Manifest Destiny was a huge idea that had a lot of power over the way Americans thought. And our history is really like changed by that. The way we treated Native Americans, like I was saying, the wars we got into. This is an image that shows the larger picture that we're going to be looking at later of Manifest Destiny. And even some of our more modern conflicts, like the war in Iraq in the 90s and the attacks on Syria just the last year. Now we have gotten to the point of discussion questions. At this point, you're going to pause the video to think about these questions and answer them in your notebook. The first one is to explain Manifest Destiny in your own words. That means you look at the definition I gave you and you try and re-explain it. I would do one sentence re-explaining it, and then maybe a second sentence giving an example that I didn't mention, but maybe that you can think of. Now, the second question is just your own opinion. Is Manifest Destiny a good thing? You can use the arguments that were on either the good side or the bad side, or you can think of your own. It's completely up to you, but you do need to use the CER method. Now, up on the board, or up to the right of the classroom, there is the CER poster. If you don't remember exactly how to do CER response questions, we're going to have a 10-minute timer to do these questions. When you finish these questions, you're going to go back to the table of contents in your journal and mark down exactly how many pages you used. Write down Manifest Destiny notes, pages 7 and 8, or just page 7. And then you'll know exactly where to look back if you're studying for the test and you need to know what Manifest Destiny was. Good luck.